have here in this matchup. So, you know, can Fly actually punish Gory in the mid lane and make it really annoying, as Lulu can sometimes do? When you see the champions, perhaps, but maybe not up against Gory, as the guy is pretty insane. Also, Duck Dump back on Ziggs here. I think that was a very comfortable first pick for them.
Oh, easy. Ziggs is I mean, when you pick Ziggs early, he's a carry that you could build comps around so well, and he's not really.
This is Braum.
Damage.
Trying to get that stun, and there it is. Trying to extend here and force a summoner. It's not actually going to happen, as now they're getting the angle here onto Fly, who's just gonna pop that corrupting pot with a time warp tonic and says, "I'll be on my way then." Nobody actually takes too much damage.
Yep, nope, not going to be too tragic for either team here. Well, especially not for Afrika, who walked face first into that one, but they'll be okay. But yeah, the Ziggs, going back to it, is a champion that you can build so many different styles of comp around. You know, you can have a aggressive composition. You can have one that scales extremely well, where you play more passively. And the comp they've built here is kind of multifaceted. It's very strong in terms of tempo advantages it can get, because like you said, you make a mistake in the mid lane as Fly, the Akali gets fed, and then the game kind of just is so easy from that point on. And it's hard to draft around the Ziggs when it goes in right now in this meta, because he's just so strong and he scales so well.
Yeah. And their option was to very obviously, in the face of Nongshim, say, we are going to draft kind of an all-in dive comp straight into the Ziggs. And, you know, I'm not sure how that Kai'Sa is really going to do in the lane. I mean, Kai'Sa, once she gets a couple of levels, she can definitely try to match some wave clear, especially with the Q evolve, but it needs some time before we do get into that.
Yeah.
As one of my favorite things about watching Nongshim is actually their emote game. It's actually the best in the LCK.
I would agree.
Because I think we even saw Kellen flashing an emote down on the bottom side here. But he's not necessarily the main one. Generally, it's Peanut and Rich who do go for the emote flashes.
We're seeing a little bit of Duck Dump and Gory growing into it here in the summer season. You could see that, you know, we talked about this lane not being a comfortable time for Nongshim, but this is level 1 versus Leona that has level 2 first, so you have to respect it. Things will get a lot easier. You can see how much damage was traded back there by Duck Dump, and look at this. You know, I mean, this is level 2 versus level 2, but you make a few more mistakes, and there's a gift for you.
Exactly. It's perfect. I love it.
Oh, boy. Well, this just continues. In the early parts of this matchup for Akali, she's going to have to play it a little bit more passively, but again, one mistake is all it takes.
Yeah. And I'm kind of expecting, even though Fly, you know, as I mentioned, this is a matchup that he must have played many times. At least, you know, Lulu into melee, or, you know, Orianna into some kind of melee matchup. And he definitely knows how to put on the pressure, but Gory is definitely a guy that can survive it pretty well, as does take a pretty hefty amount of damage on that one. Maybe want to consider teleporting here.
Yeah, looks like he is considering that. Unfortunately, Peanut here doesn't have anything he can do unless Fly makes a big mistake. As you can see, the matchup here for the Lee Sin, not a great one, as Fly is staying for a really long time. Gory's baiting this.
I think he's over that wall.
Yeah.
He didn't run around the other way, so
there
here he is, but immediately flashing in, and they don't know what's on the other side, but they're still going to go in for it, and that is the first mistake that you cannot do into the blind jungle. He is going to go down, and that's first blood given over to Fly, as, oh, Peanut's going to land it.
Can't commit, though, even with the teleport coming through.
Yeah, and with flash available, he's just 1v2ing here. He's like, yeah, I mean, get out of the lane. That's the least I can do here. As bottom side just trading. Generally going to just avoid it because you have Braum.
This is an opportunity for the Raptor camp to get taken here for Peanut. You know, with the timing of this, trying to make a bad situation into an okay situation here, but I don't know if we've quite gone that far. It's a still pretty tragic situation as Fly now returns to the lane. Gory's now pretty massively far behind in farm. He's going to clear up a lot of that right now, but still, it's a really nice lead for Fly. He's able to pick up his first few items. And this is really scary because if you can get this Lulu accelerated, and also more especially the Xin Zhao accelerated in this early game, it makes those first few objective fights where you really spike very hard as a Freaka so much easier to take. And you have a lot more opportunities to get that kind of tempo advantage we were talking about in the draft. So I want to watch it one more time. As you mentioned, Dread is unseen here. He just double scuttled, so he has both vision. And so knowing that, committing here is just a little bit too much. I think you can commit in, but as soon as Fly's in the brush, you don't actually commit the engage, because that's just... like, once he's towards that brush, like, where do you think he's going? If he's not running towards his turret there, like, Dread's probably lurking. And Dread is the type of player who's way higher jungle proximity. You know he's going to be hovering around this lane.
Yeah. I mean, the second that the Xin Zhao jumps on him, he knows he's dead, so he has to go in. And it's like, it's really sad, but as we've talked about, the decision to chase on that one was the wrong one. As we saw Kellen come in and dematerialize a minion and then just walk away. I suppose that's going to help on the push. They're trying to get some more defensive vision to try to help Gory through this lane, especially because, you know, you give one kill to the Lulu, he hits level 6, he's going to have the Xin Zhao kind of hovering around. There is potential for some shenanigans if you get pretty low on that Akali, especially now without teleport. So they have to support him a little bit. You can see Peanut kind of hovering around as well, but immediately Afrika and Dread, he's like, well, we have control, and things have been going well in the bottom lane as well.
Yeah.
So we can just go ahead and take this first dragon very early.
The bot prio here is something that I didn't really think we'd be seeing, you know, as we approach level 6 for both of these AD carries. Well, or bot laners in this case, because we got an awesome dude. And it's actually really impacting how this game is being played a lot, because it means that you can hover around the bottom side of that brush very freely as Dread without any real punishment coming through. It also means that you're going to be able to double scuttle as he did, and it also means you get a free Drake when you get that small advantage in mid. So all of these things are adding up to Afrika hitting all the checkboxes for this composition in the early game, even more than they would have normally gotten, because you normally don't actually get that kill in the mid lane. But this is fantastic for them so far.
Yeah, it's definitely a really nice start. This is what they need, right? They need to get ahead early and make something of it in the early to mid game and get enough of a lead so that eventually, you know, Ziggs doesn't get too obnoxious, Akali's, Viego, all of these pieces on the side of Nongshim don't get too annoying as the game comes along. The top lane we haven't been talking about too much. We took a look at it a couple of times, and then the observers were like, well, we could kind of look elsewhere.
He's like, okay, Valdez.
They're quite literally just sitting there farming.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's happening here. And
it's going better for Keen so far.
Yeah, Keen's getting ahead. You know, he's got the range advantage. There's some nice sustain as Rich. Ooh, that's actually a good look. Pops forward. He's able to spot Dread there, and that will keep him safe from any gank.
Yeah, he gets away, gets out of that one, and that could have been a disaster for Rich, but is able to end up being just fine here. Viego has been nerfed quite a bit in terms of his laning prowess. That's part of the reason why he's struggling to sustain through.
Peanut runs straight in. He is going to be just fine because, of course, he is Lee Sin. But Afrika, as a team, I love how they're doing this. It's just like, okay, no, we have the early lead. We have to make plays. This should be our Rift Herald to take.
Yeah, teleport being committed in here for Duck Dom. They want to contest this.
Yeah. This is the thing. If you're going to hardcore commit to the Rift Herald, you have to bring your Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
Because the enemy, awesome dude, he's got teleport, okay? And you do not have teleport. So currently it's 5v4. As Afrika are still trying to force this fight, as immediately Lens is going to take an insane amount of damage. Fly is being annoying on the backside, but who cares? Because Nongshim are just coming in here. Nice gnar into the wall, but I'm sorry, Keen, you're kind of alone.
Yeah, Duck Dom is just completely free hitting now.
Yeah,
no one can touch him.
This is just way too much value right now. The Viego is just charging them down. Another Heartbreaker in. Finally, Leo gets here. And yes, he's able to pick up a kill, but
the damage is done.
Yeah.
It's double here for Nongshim. You know, they're able to pick up the Rift Herald. This is extremely valuable. And the fact that their composition gets away with this at all against the comp that is so strong at skirmishing for Afrika is, you know, it's almost unforgivable that this happens. And like you said, it all goes back to the teleport advantage that the Ziggs is going to have here, because if you look at your minimap, you can see Kai'Sa is still in the base when Nongshim rotate over. Duck Dom's here early. He has level 6. Look at the damage that comes through. And like you said, Fly, he alone cannot really threaten a Ziggs here. He's Lulu. If he's almost any other mid laner, then this is actually a big problem. You know, he has a huge level advantage, but he just doesn't do damage, so you can't rely on being here first alone as enough when teleport exists for your awesome dude on the bottom side. And when he does arrive, Leo, he gets the kill, but it's too far gone at that point. And now with this nice advantage, yeah, Dread got 2 assists out of this, but the first, kill and the second one there, but he's falling far behind in the jungle farm. It's just really unfortunate here as Fly.
Yeah, and there's even more. There's no flash here on this Lulu. Yes, she is fast, but it's about to be 3-on-1. They're trying to give that kill to Gory, but took a little bit too long. So Fly trying to get some vision down in the enemy jungle. He's got to get caught out. And I think, they've got a nice amount of vision in the enemy jungle over there, but still just not seeing the Braum hiding in that jungle. So unfortunately for Fly, he will get caught out.
This is a really unfortunate game for Leo because he's doing very well in the lane, better than I think both of us really expected him to do. And he does have that 1 kill. He's staying even on farm, but unfortunately, in this case, just not able to match the rotation over there, not able to call out that Braum is missing. They make a small mistake, and he's the one person on Afrika's side right now that's actually where he wants to be. Everyone else is really falling far behind, even though Fly got that early kill. And Kellen is not even, it's not like Fly walks into a Braum in the river. He's very far away. He's very well hidden. This is actually a really nice trap for Nongshim. It's a proactive play, but the consequences are pretty dire here, unfortunately, for Fly and Afrika Freaks. As Leo, they don't have vision, so they're not going to push the issue, but that was scary for a second as we came out of a replay.
Yeah. I mean, once the Ziggs gets a couple of items, he didn't go for the super cheese. He didn't go for the Sapphire Crystal futures market in this game, but he's already, getting to that Leandries. He's already making his way towards his first item, and eventually the Ziggs will just do insane damage to you, so you got to be careful as Nongshim declare that this Drake will be theirs. As income Afrika, Dread is going to engage here, but he's not able to get too much. As okay, Gory will have to flash away. Thought maybe Leo would commit to that, but nope. And so everybody on the side of Nongshim gets away as they take that Ocean Drake.
Yeah. Teleports up for the top side of the map. They just came online moments ago for both of them, but they don't commit in. And as Rich, you don't have to because you have that advantage until the last second. And for Afrika, you know that you've missed your window, and your best chance of getting anything is actually killing Gory, but he flashes super well. And so no longer even a Drake advantage here, unfortunately, for Afrika. And things started off so well, but they are really starting to fall apart.
Yeah, and you know what happens when you've got Ziggs and Shelly in the same game?
Turrets die.
Generally, you can get all the plates. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get it here, but they're certainly pressing the issue. As you can see, yep, there it is, just barely able to extend that. And that is what can happen. So immediately Duck Time, he's like, yep, I did my job. I got the first turret. I got all 5 plates. Now we can rotate mid and send our Akali into the side lane and be extremely happy going into the mid game.
Yeah, it's super easy. And Gory is starting to come online here. Fly's death actually cost him a lot of CS and a lot of farm, or rather experience.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but... So you can see he's actually a level ahead, Gory is.
He's very close, he's not going to dive in on that one, but just casually doing half of Fly's health bar. You got to be careful about that.
Especially when he knows Fly does not have teleport, or rather he doesn't have teleport, but he does not have flash, that's what I meant to say. And this is an advantage that Keen has right now, but it's not a huge one. That one misses. But Rich is going to be very comfortable in these scenarios to just sit down, sit behind the turret and farm. Because the damage that his Ziggs is going to do to the enemy team, even without Akali being fed in this game, should be enough to give him some angles where he could look for resets. And when you think about the resets he's probably going to get a Leona or a Xin Zhao first. And both of those are incredibly good for following up and actually turning a team fight. So even though the Viego is 0, 1, and 2, that's actually just fine right now for Rich, considering the state of the game.
Yeah, and, sometimes as Afrika, as we will have a little bit of trading here, but Dread is nearby. Rich may be getting himself into trouble, but he's able to buffer that Heartbreaker and get out. Totally fine. But yeah, generally you have Keen on something that can carry, either in the lane or later on in the game. But the Gnar is not necessarily as aggressive as some other picks that, you know, such as a Jace or an Aurelia or even like a Renekton, a Gwen, something that Keen has played a lot of times. He likes to go for the Gnar.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can handle the Viego very well in the lane as we saw, but it's not like it's going to be picking up solo kills as long as Rich doesn't make a mistake. So
you also committed so many bans to that Gnar pick, and, you know, it's expensive in that regard in terms of the comp that Nongshim was able to build here. I will say, I think, I want to say, but I'm scared that somebody's about to die here. I will say that I think that if you're going to run the Gnar, you need a stronger mid lane of damage to follow up. Gifts for you.
Why didn't he play the Santa Claus Braum skin? That's my question.
Yeah.
As Peanut goes extremely deep, and a really nice Crescent Guard is going to force that blast. Red has to use his own. As Keen with the Mega Gnar bar, he's coming in here. He's looking for a play, trying to make it happen alone, as the Wild Growth follow-up is huge. As now they're really trying to get in here. The Satchel Card charge will push him back. As Gory is in a little bit of trouble. Looks like he does have the Shuriken to get over the wall, but finally Keen just takes it into his own hands.
Look at the health bars of Afrika after they win this fight. Lehens takes the brunt of it, but everyone else is actually pretty wounded. Now, this is not important for this Rift Herald take necessarily, but there's a teleport coming through.
Nongshim are really trying to force this fight.
I think it's a good choice.
Don't necessarily have to do this. It's just the second Rift Herald. We'll see if it works. Gory's in the backside. And the poke damage is big. They're trying to kill Keen, but he hits Mega Gnar, and Gory's going 1v4. He's going to go down. They do get Keen, but at the end of the day, now Viego is pretty huge in this kind of scenario. The skirmish comes in. As you can see, they're just pushing in. Ziggs is able to pick up that Rift Herald as they're looking for a bit more. The bombs not going to land. As the re-engage from Nongshim was very interesting, well, and I wasn't sure about it, but it works out.
I really like it because, you know, like I was leading into, the health bars end up taking a ton of damage from the Ziggs, and that's what I was talking about. You have this great Gnar from Keen in that previous fight, but what it costs you is so much health going into the Rift Herald when you chase that far, and it just goes to show that even with the perfect ideal engage here for Afrika, their composition really struggles to find that follow-up damage. And what you gain from the Lulu is that follow-up engage. You know, after the Gnar, you can Wild Growth and get that extra knock-up. You have a lot of extra survivability, but what you lose is consistent damage that a mage in the mid lane would have been able to give you. Right, remember the Syndra was banned away. Another option they could have gone with here to have more follow-up CC plus the damage. That ends up being a great pair for the Gnar, but they don't have that here, as they will look to take this streak and get away with it. But when you look at how much damage Duckdom does in this fight, it's realistic to expect that you can actually come back in, return, and look for Viego resets. Look at both Peanut and Duckdom here do so much. With Peanut and Kellen there on the front line, Duckdom is just free to do this extra damage. So yes, it's a win in this fight when you just see the Gnar come through, a follow-up Wild Growth is there. But they can't kill Rich, and like, where's the damage here? You have your engage, but you're chasing super far, and now it's like, if I get any Viego resets, this is an amazing fight. And it's tooth and nail here for Nongshim. Could have been a little bit cleaner on the re-engage, but they get the Rift Herald, they trade the kills, and you'll absolutely take that when you're looking for the late game anyways. This is, I think, a really smart choice from Nongshim, and it's a bold choice at that. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you want to see from a team heading into playoffs.
It's extremely bold, and I think, you know, this is the other part of Nongshim is that their plays are great. I think their calls are the best that we have right now in terms of, like, you know, do we go in, do we go back in, are we fighting here? And I think they just identify a lot of the things that you were talking about, and they're like, oh, and we also have Viego. Like, this is the perfect time. We get in there, we get a bunch of resets when they're committing to the second Rift Herald. Like, we can absolutely clean up, and we have the comp to do it. It's Akali Viego. And as you mentioned, you know, well, it wasn't super clean, but they still get some wins. A big thing here for Afrika is that, you know, yes, they lose a couple of their turrets, but they also picked up that Infernal Drake. So actually going to be pretty nice for shoring up some of the damage.
Yeah, it is really important when you consider that, you know, in terms of sustained damage, they have a Kai'Sa, and that's it. And that can be a bit alarming. It means that you need to burst down a single target with all that CC right away at the beginning of the team fight. And that's so difficult with the Braum pick that we talked about. When they went in face up with this, you know, Dread Xin Zhao early on, that was picked in response, by the way, plus the Kai'Sa and the Leona. You feel amazing about that pick now. As Keen should be able to get out of here. Will be able to do so. Peanut's not able to taxi to a Gromp because it doesn't exist. And actually, Afrika, because of this pressure that's pushed on the bottom side of the map here for Nongshim, will be able to grab another turret. It's not all doom and gloom here for Afrika, but the composition is the bigger issue than the Drake advantage they have and that turret they picked up on the bottom side of the top lane.
It's very much, we got to fight as 5, we got to blow somebody up, and if we can't do that, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. And it puts a lot of pressure onto Leo. He's not necessarily the guy that's doing the majority of the carrying for Afrika. Generally, it's either Dread or Keen. A lot of the time, Keen. And yeah, I mean, Gnar can do some fun stuff, especially if you get very far ahead. But other than that, you know, you better hope that your 3-0 Kai'Sa for Leo is able to do enough as this game comes along. Peanut's just not able to find any camps on this map.
Yeah, he's like,
let me try the Raptors now.
He's actually the blind Lee Sin in this game.
Can't hit any cues. Finally found something.
There we go. Yeah, I don't dislike the Afrika draft, but because of the disaster we had on the first Rift Herald and the trades that Nongshim have taken.
Sorry.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. It's like actually a comedy at this point. But I mean, the fact that he's in the jungle freely trying to queue every single camp that Dread could be taking does show how much control Nongshim have. Also, the 30 CS lead that he has over Dread is also something to kind of take a second look at if you haven't noticed the big gap there between these two right now, as a teleport will come through here as they try to shore up the defense on this turret and will be successful because Ziggs is kind of great at pushing this back.
Look at the rotation. Lahens and Leo, they're zoned away, and this will be a hard engage coming in onto Dread. He has to flash away, and that will be enough, especially with the Lulu nearby. And so we saw Afrika saying, okay, you guys are going to go for a hard push up on the top side. Let's try to push 2 lanes at the same time. But teleport does get burned by Duck Dom, which is actually pretty nice. And they do get away.
Yeah. Getting a flash, though, and saving the turret means that it's still very valuable. That teleport commit there for Nongshim, and the potential of getting even more was very high there. And these are the kind of things where, like, you know, you said it wasn't perfect. We kind of discussed that on that re-engage on the second Rift Herald. This kind of engage ends up using a teleport. They're not able to pick up any kills. But how proactive and how good the calling is and how fast the calling is from Nongshim is something that a lot of our LCK teams have struggled to advance, especially on the right side of our standings. But Nongshim looking really great in that regard. Let's see how quickly they can decide how they want to take away this Herald fight, because they are in a great position with the Viego rotating in from the bottom here. Keen, no Gnar bar.
Yeah.
This is the limiting factor you have with the Gnar here.
Timing a lane push is good, and Nongshim were able to use that rotation in to gain control of the river. Just kind of forcing their way through here. If you can get position and Afrika struggled to engage, Nongshim are going to be feeling happy as long as they can land some of that Ziggs poke.
It's not really landing right now, actually.
Yeah.
Will eventually, you have to think.
Okay, here we go. The hard engage does come in. Mega Gnar about to be hit here for Keen. He's really looking for anybody. Not quite able to get it, but they zone them away. They're going to try to put the pressure on with this Mega Gnar and go for the Dragon now. 5 players coming on. Keen is going to jump on in. They're going to settle for the Braum, and there's that wombo combo. But look at the follow-up damage, and Rich is in that backline, but Leo is gigantic. As you can see, the stolen Lulu polymorph not enough to deny Leo, and he will pick up yet another kill on this one. Peanut will have to try to make something happen here alone.
Teleporting back in, I think, after he returns. They were going to see that match.
Okay, it's going to be about the smite, and it goes the way of Peanut. He's able to get another big smite once again.
Afrika. Oh, and that's a deadly ends. This is not what you want. This is not the way you saw this one going. And yes, Leo is doing the best in this game. He's carrying. Look at his damage output, but look at Ziggs. Look at what he's able to do in this fight. His ultimate hit basically everything. And that's all you need to actually set up a team fight as Nongshim. You win that war of attrition because of the limiting factor is once again the Gnar bar. And when that's up, you look good, but Nongshim played around it so well. Now he's got a Horizon focus online. He's 1-0-4. This gets, we're about to go from bad to worse for Afrika. You know, this is what good looks like for Afrika, unfortunately, at this moment in time. As watching the positioning here, you can see that once the Gnar is ready, they play around it super well. Yes, Kellen does get blown here, but look at that Ziggs ult. And now it's like, well, guess what? Rich is looking for massive resets, and Leo makes a great play here and shuts him down. But if he gets a second reset there, this ends up being a completely different world where the Drake is taken without even the Smite War as Peanut. So
49. It was an incredibly close one there as Duckdom picks up a free kill. Feeling pretty nice about that one. 450 gold for the team, it looks like. And, you know, while we're seeing the pieces of Nongshim's comp and what they can do, especially as they get stronger, there is one big thing for Afrika. It is a big
6-0 Kai'Sa
in the column of the kills for the Kai'Sa.
3 items.
He's level 13, and that's the same as his solo laner. So this Kai'Sa is gigantic. And you do have a wombo combo kind of burst-based composition, and you're going to have that damage that you were lacking, especially early on. So again, I think it's going to come down to the execution. Afrika, especially even with the one Infernal Drake, Leo has the potential damage to just burst pretty much anybody.
Especially Duckdom. You know, if Duckdom dies, then you also have sustained damage in that fight that Nongshim will be missing.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely your main priority. But yeah, I mean, he has 3 items. He has the Wit's End, so that's going to make him a lot more survivable. But if he gets locked down, if Peanut kicks him, you know, when he comes in, or if he ends up getting stunned then by Rich and then blown up, like, that's all you have as Afrika. But it's the best part you have, and it works well with your composition if you could set up that CC to lead to that first execution, then the second that follows. It's just easier said than done. You know, even with the 6 kills, he still also has to be wary of his position. He also has to be very careful.
Dread, speaking of positioning, this is the exact place you don't want to be against the Ziggs. They get the slowdown, and Crescent Guard has to be used. It's a trade of ultimates. There's no objective that anybody can really force down at this point in time. You don't have an 80 carry. So, yes, although Ziggs has a lot of damage, he's limited by his mana. You can't exactly use all that mana only on the Baron. As in comes Rich, he's just going to try to kill Dread straight up. As Kellen is flashing in, he's like, okay, boys, let's go. As maybe it was a little bit overzealous. Solar Flare comes in, and actually everybody on the side of Afrika say no.
This comp falls apart for Afrika when Dread is unable to act because he doesn't have his Crescent Guard or his Flash. Because Gnar can only go in when the Gnar bar is available, right? So if you're Leo, you're like, oh man, you lost your Crescent Guard, but that's okay because maybe you'll still be at full health and you'll have Flash. Then it's like, okay, now you lost your Flash, and now you're at 1/3 health. So Leo's like, I still need an engage, right? And yes, they do have the Leona, and yes, they do have the Gnar, but that's not going to be as consistent. You have to be, as Dread, willing to walk very wide around, set up flank angles, or just as Afrika as a whole, be willing to walk away, because when Dread is just the one who's going to take the brunt of all that damage, you know, and even actually be threatened to be dead, you know, then he has to flash, right? And he's at 1/3 health, and you can't actually look for anything anymore. You have to back away. This is something to keep an eye on. And now he is going to have his Crescent Guard available once again, so can go deep, but not having flash means that engage just isn't as reliable as it was moments before. And you need some sort of setup, because unless somebody just walks into Leo straight up, like, he's not going to be able to make that damage happen for free. He needs someone to set so he could spike the volleyball in Nongshim's court.
And they're about to have flash for Keen. They got the Shirelias. They have some tools. The Solar Flare is available once again for Lahens. But again, the problem is Afrika need to be so... They need to make a move together as a team, as 5. If you're getting poked out by the Ziggs, you're not going to have a fun time. So far, Duckdom has really been having trouble landing this poke.
He really has. And I think part of that is due to Afrika's really good positioning.
Yeah.
But he is also kind of just whiffing some of these. Is Keen going to be the target here?
And you have the ability as Ziggs as well, especially with blue buff, to just never-endingly throw out stuff like forever. Yeah. And you can zone people away for a long time, and Afrika say, well, okay, we're not going to run straight into that. Let's do Baron. But the Dragon Take is very swift for Nongshim, and that's a couple of Infernals now that you're facing.
Keen doesn't have Narbar either. Peanut's going to walk right into him, but he's going to go, okay, no Narbar.
He's building it up, though. He's building up. He's getting close, and here we go. Peanut is looking for it. The Ziggs ultimate totally whiffs as in they go. The damage is denied by Duckdom. The Crescent Guard keeps him alive. Keen is being distracted, but that's okay because Rich is not here for the shutdowns, and Leo now has 7 kills as he takes down the Braum.
But they do deny the Baron, and they take Soul Point, and there's no realistic way for Afrika to start this up again. I mean, You would think Duckdom is here. Like, these health bars are low.
Yeah, and he still has blue buff. The problem is he needs to hit something.
Yeah, these are not actually connecting. It's actually kind of absurd.
Afrika have just been so good at dodging everything, and it's been key. If the Ziggs can't do damage, you're going to have a hard time. As in comes Keen, now he's trying to frontline here, and Leo is on the other flank, and he goes, and he's got the damage at this point. Nearly able to collect the life, and look at this Kaisa go, as now Rich is trying to shut him down, but they can't, and they flashed in, and now Duckdom's gonna get caught, and how about another kill for the Kaisa? And that's exactly what you want. We got a 9-0 Leo in this game.
Oh, and now you can take the Baron easy peasy here as Afrika Freaks. It looked really rough there for a moment. They got pushed off the Baron, but as you pointed out, some of that Duckdom damage just really isn't showing up, or most of that Duckdom damage isn't really showing up because he's not able to land it. But there was a huge disconnect between Afrika and their jungler actually in that turn. Like, Dread almost died solo to the Baron because he was like, no, I think we hold this, whereas Afrika says, no, we turn. Go back and watch this moment. You know, it's like, it's kind of insane. Now, you mentioned Rich kind of being off to the side here. And this means that the engage here is a little bit awkward, unfortunately, for Nongshim. The redemption actually gets massive value here, actually, from Fly, as he is playing great support mid laner.
어, 날아가 볼게.
And now we're going to watch Leo actually just own in this fight. Actually dodges so much. He dodges Q after dodging all the damage from Duckdom there, and he's like, I'm going down, I'm going in. And look at the damage here, it's insane. And all the while, Dread is like, wait, are you guys going to play the game without me? He's like, I'm almost died to Baron, and Leo's like, no, I'm going down, I'm going to go and get these kills. It's actually insane, like how Leo just says, no, I'm going to kill them, I'm going. And Dread's like, okay, I'll go too.
Yeah.
He's now resetting back up to full health. They don't get the Baron at that moment, but they are able to do it during the replay. And Leo is keeping Afrika hanging on here.
And he has a lot of support this time around. And I kind of like the way that they're trying to force Nongshim into these 5v5 fights on their terms, as now, okay, stopwatch a bit early. Leo just gets into the back line. Duckdom dies, and that's a lot of your damage loss. I don't think Rich and Gory have it. You can't do enough damage to kill the Kaisa, and she will collect yet another kill.
The idea here is to execute the Kaisa right away, you know, but she's not that squishy. She's got a wits in. She's level 15. And you know what? Like, she's got a stopwatch, doesn't even have to use it. She has wild growth. You don't always wild growth the Kaisa, but when she's 10-0, you do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they're just going to push it down. And, I mean, no Ziggs to stop the Baron push. You don't have an Akali to threaten any kind of dive. Meganar's coming in here. Afrika are winning game number 1. And forcefully they will end it before it gets too late, and the Nexus will go down as the wards are being thrown, and Keen gets one last ultimate for the road, even stays alive.